Thank you, Andriana. Right then, shall we look at a few pictures? It's what it's all about, isn't it? But before we do that, I'd just like to give you a feel of who I am and what I do. So, if you don't mind, I'm going to spend the next 20 minutes, really, trying to communicate to you my passion for printing. But first, come with me, if you will, to a place called Kimmeridge Bay. It's on the south coast of England, on the Jurassic Coast. It's a UNESCO World Heritage Site. It's a stunningly beautiful part of the world, a really dramatic coastline. And just a couple of weeks ago, I was down on the coast in the middle of the night making this picture. Now, there's just a few weeks in the year when the galactic center of the Milky Way is visible above the horizon in our latitudes. And the nights when you can actually see the Milky Way are few and far between because, as you may well know, in England, we do occasionally get a little bit of cloud and bad weather and rain. To really see the night sky at its best, you need a completely clear sky and no moon. And those kind of nights happen very, very rarely. I live for moments like this. Shots like this, shoots like this take immense planning and persistence. I'll often go back to this kind of location time and time and time again until I get the picture. Persistence usually pays off. And if I just can give you one little aside to this particular shoot, do you see that glow on the horizon behind the tower there? I couldn't work out what it was. And I came back and I looked at all my shoots from the south coast taken at this time of year, and that same glow is there. It's on a bearing just off south. It's actually Cherbourg, 110 kilometers away. I find that absolutely amazing. But we're here to talk about the big picture, and I'd like to take you back in time, if I may, to back when dinosaurs roamed the planet, and I was just getting into photography. May 1980, when I went with up to Loch Rannoch on a family holiday, up to Scotland, and I was rewarded with this beautiful view of Scotland's Mount Fuji, Schiehallion, reflected perfectly in the loch. In my naive enthusiasm back then, I took just 2 frames and wandered on. In all the intervening 39 years, I've been going back to that location to try and hoping for a rerun of those stunning situations. Finally, last year, I was rewarded with this situation. My message being that sometimes I have to wait 39 years for one picture. I'd like to think the picture was worth the wait. I just want to take you now behind the scenes on a video shoot I did. Just take you behind the scenes on a shoot just to give you a flavor of how I work. A friend of mine once said the difference between a good landscape photographer and a bad one is the good one gets up earlier. And that's really what the game's all about. Being in the right place at the right time when the light is at its best. And it doesn't happen by accident. This is I forget the name of the canyon, but it's in Utah. And basically, when I found a location like this that I know is worth, that could possibly net a strong picture, I go back. I'm like a dog with a bone. I'll go back time and time again until I get the picture I want. I think in this day and age of digital technology, it's very easy to think you can load your camera with a high-capacity memory card, walk out the door, blast away, shoot hundreds, even thousands of pictures, and if you shoot enough, something will work, won't it? No. You just fill up your memory card with mediocrity. For me, it's all about waiting for that decisive moment when it all comes together. I'm just trying to communicate with you now the kind of time and effort and persistence that goes into making pictures like this. I travel the world with my photography, but it's really important to me as well to make the most of what's in my own backyard. And actually this tree, this beautiful old beech tree, is within a mile of where we live in Dorset, in the south of England. I think you'll agree it's quite a picture, and actually we've got this printed huge on the wall at home. It's actually above the bed. I would say to you, come round and have a look, but my wife might appreciate that. The thing is, when I've made a picture like this, the quality of the image, I'm shooting with high-resolution Canon cameras, in this particular instance, the Canon 5DSR. This is an image that's made up of, I can't remember how many frames to tell you the truth, probably about 10 frames stitched together to make this giant panorama. And when you've made a picture like that big, that kind of quality, to then just post it on Instagram, get a few seconds of fame before it's swiped and forgotten. There has to be more to life, doesn't there? For me, it's all about printing. The print is the final product. To think that pictures like this will have just a few seconds of fame on it on social media before being consigned to the oblivion of a hard drive is a tragedy. So, printing is absolutely centrally and fundamentally important to my business. I think when you've gone to such lengths to create pictures like this, traveled all the way to Sri Lanka, what a beautiful country that is. I'm up here in a tea plantation in the center of Sri Lanka. It's a wonderful, beautiful tropical morning there. It's a 180-degree field of view. When I've gone to this amount of effort and travel and time, I want to enjoy the fruits of my own creativity to the ultimate. And that means printing. Permit me, or forgive me, would you, if I'm being a little bit evangelical about this, but I believe really that prints are so important. I think it was looking at prints is what got most of us, I assume, into photography in the first place. Back a few years ago, I had an exhibition in London, and seeing prints on the wall, watching people walk into the gallery, the way they interacted with the prints on the wall, was one of the high points of my career. I know I will never, ever forget that. It was a real privilege. Now, I've been in this business a long, long time. 34 years as a professional now. I'll never forget making my first print as a student at photography college at Gloucester in the west of England in the early 80s. It's a seminal moment for all photographers, I think, making that print, seeing the print way back then appearing in the developing dish. By the way, just as an aside, this is Chateau Chalon in the Jura region of France. And I think for me that I've always thought that printing is magic. Way back then, when I saw that print appearing in the dish, I thought it was magic. Now, I can make a print with a few clicks of a mouse, but I still think it's magic. I'm still hooked on the process. And like many of you, I'm pretty sure, when I'm making a print, I stand by the print, looking at it coming out. It's still magic. It's still such a special experience. So this is Argentina, and it's northern Argentina. And as I said before, these kind of pictures are really, when I go on a trip like this, I don't come back with thousands of pictures. If I come back with one image that is a handful of images, then I'm pleased. I'm thinking of quality over quantity all the time. So this particular situation here is the first slide on the landscape there. I've gone for a super wide picture here. I'm shooting with the Canon 5DSR. Again, I've waited for that first light, just coming over the mountains there to the left and coming down into the valley here. Got that river taking me into the frame there. I think we spent a week in this particular area of Argentina, and that was the one image that I kept working on time and time again. I think when I remember how I used to make prints back in the 80s and 90s, it was a nightmare, quite frankly. I just couldn't ever achieve the kind of consistency I wanted. Nowadays, the consistency I get with my pictures is so rewarding. It's actually really quite a simple process to make a print. This is the Big Sur coastline in California, by the way. I think consistency is what we're all after, isn't it? It's very important to me that I'm getting believability of colors, believability of tones. I think all the time with my own photography, what I'm after is producing pictures which make you, the viewer, look at and think it's truthful. It's got that connection with reality. And I'm looking for that too. All the time when I print a picture, the colors must look natural. I think a lot of people think that printing is a very difficult process, but actually I'm finding that it's become so easy, actually. So, for example, look at this picture. The colors in it are quite vibrant. It's an area called Tombstone Provincial Park in the Yukon Territories in the far north of Canada. Stunningly beautiful area, by the way. Had it completely to myself. Photography is the stimulus that puts me into situations like this. I don't think if it weren't for photography, I would have seen half the things that I have in life. It's been a wonderful adventure, a wonderful stimulus. And would I have gotten up in the middle of the night and driven all this way to be there overlooking this valley to when the first light started painting that landscape? It's one of the fundamental joys of photography, actually, is standing somewhere like this, watching the first light paint the landscape, watching it creep down the mountains. It's an experience I never, ever tire of. And of course, the print is the final part of that process. Color management, two words that strike fear into the heart of many photographers, I think. They certainly do for me. But actually, the game has become much, much easier than it was 20 years ago. Using the professional print and layout application, Canon's professional print and layout application, I'm finding that actually I can set up a printer, I can be productive very, very quickly. The whole process has actually become really much, much user-friendly, more user-friendly than it ever was. This was shot in Wales, actually. And this next one here is back on the Jurassic coast, the south coast of England, and in Dorset. That's the tower, Clavel's Tower, that was in that first night sky shoot. So what am I looking for when I print a picture? Obviously, consistency. I want to know that I can get consistent quality without any kind of deviation, and of course, print quality. Now then, this screen is wonderful. I'm loving presenting to you here and now on this wonderful, wide, high-resolution screen. But still doesn't compete with looking at a good print. And I think I can talk to you as much as we like, as much as I like, but the proof is in the pudding. That's a colloquialism we use in England. And the proof is in the pudding in particular. If you look at the prints back later on in the display behind you, the quality of the prints that we can get nowadays with Canon's second generation Pro Series is quite frankly amazing. I'm looking for, with my photography, I'm always looking for that, the trueness of the colors. Some of the other ambassadors talked about it in their videos just recently. So pictures like this, very easy to look over the top, to look overcooked. I'm sure you've all seen images awash on the internet with pictures which have been over-processed. The colors look unreal. For me, this rainbow here, which I managed to capture, it would be very easy to overcook those colors in that rainbow. And when I come to print a picture, that's what I'm looking for. Color fidelity, tonality, true colors, and crucially, subtlety. This is still on my home patch of the Jurassic Coast, whereas this next picture is La Roche de Salutre in Bourguignon, a beautiful area of France. We were there just a couple of months ago. Pictures like this, for example, really quite high contrast image there. I had to, basically making this panorama, I was very aware that I wanted the vines in my foreground here. I wanted this lovely side lighting, painting the scene here, but the shadows are quite strong, quite harsh. Well, what's key is the blacks. In a picture like this, what I'm really aware of is the depth of the blacks when I come to print that picture. I don't want those blacks to look muddy and gray. I want those lovely, rich black tones. I think a big, beautiful print impresses in a way that a picture on a screen never can. And I'll often make a print just for the hell of it, just to have a look at it, just for the sheer pleasure of making a print. I think whenever I'm going for a meeting, whenever I'm going to see anyone in the photographic world, I will take along a sheaf of prints, because I know from hard experience that you can be busy talking about business and marketing and all of those things, but when it comes to it, we're all in the photography business. We're all in the business of pictures, and it always comes back to the pictures. And when I put on a table a beautiful print, people react to it in a way that they never would do if I showed them it on a tablet or even worse, a phone. Let's face it, we all spend far too much of our lives looking at a screen, don't we? Most of us spend huge amounts of our existence in front of a computer. So to change that whole experience and present prints as opposed to project digital images, I find I get a far better, far more evocative response from people. And there's a tangible sense of quality to a print. You can touch it, you can feel it. I was watching a program about, they were tracing the history of a piece of art, and they were talking about the texture, the surface of the painting. It was in oil, and the actual surface of the painting had this tactile quality. Well, it's the same with prints. For example, one of my favorite papers, the Fine Art Museum etching paper. There's such a lovely texture to that. I just love feeling a print. Excuse me if I'm getting wafting a bit lyrical here, but it's all about the passion, isn't it? Well, it is for me anyways. There's a tangible sense of worth and quality to a print. So, from Iceland, let me take you now back here to autumn in Dorset. And this print here, this image here, shot last autumn. Isn't this screen wonderful? The first light of the day, sidelighting the scene there. There's that depth to the image. I'm really trying to hold on to the tones in the cloud, the brightness in the tones there in the clouds, and at the same time expose for the shadows here. So when I come to print that image, of course, that kind of tonal range is very important to me, that I can capture that. So just to wrap up really with a few last images here. This is autumn in my home patch again. Last autumn, another panorama. I love making panoramas and they print beautifully. The trouble with a panorama is it's very difficult to show at its full quality the way I am doing here. It's a real treat to be here actually, to have this opportunity to show you these pictures on this huge screen. But normally I don't get that opportunity. But a panorama printed large just looks wonderful. Unfortunately, our house isn't big enough to show enough of them. I'd love to have a lot more of these pictures on the wall back home. So printing is just downright satisfying. It is the final stage in the process. It's what it's all about for me. And for me, really, to sum up, an image needs to be printed to realize its full potential. I hope I've managed to convey to you my passion for my work. I hope I've managed to convey to you also my passion for printing. I'm here all day if you've got any questions at all about my pictures, about my work, and about my commitment to printing. I'd love to have a talk to you. Thank you very much.